Welcome to Everything's Not Black and White with your hosts, Lala and Brian.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. We are so excited. This episode is definitely one that's near and dear to my heart. We are going to be joined by my dear friend and brilliant business partner, April Wu, founder of InSphere Consulting, and someone whose journey is nothing short of transformative. April's story is more than success. It's about survival, self-trust, and stepping into a life she wasn't taught about before. From navigating cultural expectations and career burnout to reclaiming her voice and launching her own company, this conversation is going to be rich with wisdom, honesty, and hope. So whether you're rethinking your definition of success or learning how to honor the ambition you've been taught to hide, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Welcome, April, to the podcast.
Welcome,
Hey,
April.
Thank you, Lala and Brian, for
Yeah.
having me.
Absolutely.
We are so excited to have you here and to share a bit of your story with our listeners. So let's just get into it. You were kind of given a blueprint when you were growing up. So can we talk about a little bit the path that you started to follow when you were growing up, and what kind of messages around success did you first learn about?
Yeah, so I grew up in China. For the listeners who don't know, growing up, it's such like a Asian culture kind of thing, very common. When you're growing up, your parents or teachers at school or everybody around you is about good grade, they rank you. And this is the thing that probably will never happen here, but growing up, for every single quiz and exam, you get a score, and the teacher would announce like your name, your score, and wait for that person to come up to take your exam paper back.
Interesting.
So it's
Wow.
that kind of a culture. And every major exams, midterm, final, they would rank everybody. So everybody has a name, your rank of your class, and your rank for the entire class of the school.
Wow.
It's not just like the top 10. It's like everybody from top to bottom.
Everybody,
Wow.
yeah.
That'd be a lot of pressure.
That is pressure.
Exactly, yeah, and everybody can see that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of the environment I grew up within. So everybody's driven with this competition in mind. So success is very clear. I wouldn't say it's the right thing for people to believe, but everybody was wired in a way to believe a good score, like it's really score based.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like right now it's like money in your bank, like
Right.
same thing. It's just a number that defines how successful you are.
Yeah. What did that do for you emotionally and mentally? What was going through your body during those times?
Growing up, it's you don't have that awareness that it could be differently. So everybody's like in that same environment, so you think that's just the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, kind of just focus on getting that score, reading textbooks, practicing, solving like math problems, stay late solving math problems. It's kind of like just where to get me to the defined quote unquote success. So I feel like the feeling is I don't even have a feeling towards it.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like your whole mind is to get a good score. It's that number. It's not, who you are. Like we're not even trained that way to even think. You need to think about your emotion, like put a name to your emotion.
Yeah.
Like nothing of that is educated to be important, or, you should even think about it.
Yeah.
It's just non-exist.
Yeah.
And kind of like letting your feelings down, just, focus on that same goal. So it's kind of like every cell in my body, all the food that I intake, all the energy it produces is all towards getting a good score.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the only thing that matters, really.
Yeah. So when you were growing up in China and this was the behavior, how long did you stay in China before you came to the United States?
I moved here in 2011, so I think that time I was 21 years old. Yeah. So it was 21 years old. I actually got into a Chinese university, which I stayed 2 years before I transferred myself out to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Now, did your parents want you to come to the United States, or how did they feel about you coming here?
They do. I think that's also kind of part of the success. They would think a study abroad experience would, like if you ever come back, you would get better chance to get a better job. Or there's also a chance that you stayed in a like more advanced country. That's also a definition of success. So they were pretty happy. They feel like they're contributing to my success and possibly better life in the future. So
Yeah.
they're happy with that. They're actually very supportive. They paid for all my tuition, so
I have to
grateful for that.
I have to ask, like, so you're in China and the United States is this big country that you're not totally familiar with. How does Wisconsin, of all states, like get on your radar?
Yeah, so the university I went to in China is a cooperate university. So it's a 4-year program. First 2 years you're in China. For the last 2 years, you can move to Missouri to go to Missouri State University. It's like a cooperate program, and if you do that program, you graduate with degrees from both schools.
Okay.
A lot of professors we have back in China were already taking classes in all English. So there were professors from Missouri State University went back to China for teaching. And one of the advisors I talked to, I mentioned to him I wanted to move out of the country, like transfer myself into a different, like a better university. And he helped me with school picking.
Okay.
And he's actually from Illinois. He mentioned some Midwest schools, public schools that are tuition-wise making more sense, but also pretty higher ranked. So yeah, he helped me.
Okay.
He specifically mentioned Wisconsin. Back then, I actually applied OSU, Penn State, Michigan State, and Wisconsin.
Okay.
I got offers 3 out of the 4, and just picked Wisconsin because he recommended that would be a good campus experience for me.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I always wonder how someone from another country comes here and like how do they figure out a spot? Like even people like us who live here like would have a tough time making that decision.
Yeah, there are also a lot of agencies that you can pay for, and they would help you with the whole application, like school sourcing application, everything.
That's interesting. So you said that in your college level, they were always teaching English. When did you first learn English? Did it start in elementary school or middle school? Or how did you start to learn? Oh, very early. Okay.
From elementary school. Even before elementary school, my parents signed me up to like a kindergarten English teaching kind of for fun place. Yeah, it's always been. They would test you on that. So.
Okay. That's something I do wish we did more in the United States. Like not very many people are multilingual. And so I think that's something that's so important in this world. We're such a global economy now. We need to have a lot of people speaking many languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish we'd have done that earlier. We just started, I think, in high school, wasn't it? I think we started in high school, like you were required to do 2 years. If you wanted to do all 4 years, you could, but that was the only requirement. Is 2 years of any language. And I think that's not enough.
Right. Yeah. If you want to master it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ozzy had to do 3 years because of their honor program.
Yeah.
And I have never heard Ozzy speak a lick
of
Spanish since they took all that.
I think Ozzy's lost it at this point, but that's also okay. So you're in the United States now and you're going to school in Wisconsin. So when you graduate, how did you first start looking for a place of employment? Did somebody at school help you or how did you find your first job?
The program I was in it's a really good program. It's the Master of Accounting program with Wisconsin School of Business. They always have info sessions. They invite guest speakers from like local CPA firms or banks or like Big Four from all over the country. They invite those people in to give information, to help you practice interviews. And there are a lot of a career fair that's just limited for that accounting program. So I got a lot of access to what the career could be like. Not down to the degree of like day-to-day what you do, but at least I know what firms are out there, jobs are out there. And peers start to talk about it. And from what I heard, like the most successful ones would go to Big Four, one of the Big Four. doing audit or tax. So that's just what people have been talking about. So it's almost like the same thing back in China where they define your success. Like if you get a good score, go to good university, that's success. That's the success. So same thing with the School of Business. Everybody's talking about Big Four. So you start to know, like, okay, Big Four is the new definition of success.
So for those people who don't understand what the Big Four of the accounting, can you lay those out for everybody? What are the Big Four for the accounting firms?
Yeah, so they are Deloitte, PwC, which is PricewaterhouseCoopers, and EY is Ernst Young, and KPMG.
Yeah, and so you ended up landing where?
I went with Deloitte. I didn't do very well in my interviews. So what ended up happening was a accounting professor that I maintained a good relationship with, and I was the TA for her. So she knows me, and she's also doing research for Deloitte. So she also has good relationship with Deloitte. So she ended up telling the recruiter, hey, like she's one of my best students. You need to get her. And that's how I ended up with a job.
I was going to sound like you've had a lot of allies along the way to help you to get to where you're at. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was very grateful of that for sure.
Yeah. Were you lonely when you first got here because you left your family in China and you came over? Did you even think about it? You're like, I'm just going to get success, or did you have those feelings? I know you talked about not being able to process feelings back then. It wasn't important, but I'm just wondering, how did you feel when you came here all by yourself?
Yeah, again, I think back then, like I wasn't even aware of like, oh, I should focus on my feeling. It's more of like goal-oriented, like whatever I need to do to get there, let's just focus on what I need to do, like action items instead of feelings.
Yeah.
I actually felt fine, especially when I just came here. I met people online before I come here, and we rented a place together. There were 4 of us. So I wasn't that lonely per se. And people who got there, I've done some research, they've done some research. So we share information, we help each other along the way. Branch off the campus is a great campus. So there's a lot of new things to keep me excited. There were definitely homesick periods, but again, I feel like I just let myself have that moment during those moments. And then after that, feel like I'm cleansed and I can go back and focus on my goal.
Yeah, that's nice. So going to Deloitte, how was that experience for you working for one of the Big Four like that?
I personally wasn't successful with Deloitte. That was for a lot of reasons. I was here with no mentor, experiencing the, I would say, working environment here or working environment of Big Four, working environment of Midwest. So like a lot of factors come into play. And just in general, I don't have this upward management concept. So what I heard back in school is, oh, Big Four, work overtime. So I thought as long as I work overtime, I can be successful. That's definitely not the case. And first of all, I thought, I can work overtime consistently. I couldn't. It damages my body.
Yes.
I start to feel very stressful, very worn out.
Yeah.
But it's also like, that's the time I'm blaming myself for not cut out for that. And I couldn't believe I'm not cut out for that. So I keep pushing myself to fit myself into that. On the other side is you really don't have to be that to be successful.
Yeah.
So that's also another thing I wasn't aware of. Should have focused more on like upward management, take best advantage out of those coaching sessions I had from within. Like really focus on goal alignment. Like what I do would match their like KPI scorecard, things like that, instead of just like work long hours.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because I had this conversation earlier this week about, I think in African-American life, it's kind of similar in Chinese life in a way where they always talk about Black excellence. Like you always have to be a top notch. You got to be work twice as hard to be half as good. You know, you think about that all the time, and it doesn't leave room for just being regular and just being in the moment. And I think sometimes that can be detrimental mentally and emotionally for people, because if you don't find that success early on, you do start to think you're not good enough, and you start to have really a lot of negative doubts about yourself. Yeah. So when you started feeling that, you started feeling stressed and burnt out, like what changed for you? What did you decide to do differently to make yourself not be in that situation again?
It was actually during the busy season where my lifestyle is literally I wake up like 9 a.m. in the morning, go straight to my computer, working from home. Didn't even brush my teeth or wash my face or take a shower before that. Just wake up, go straight there, and work throughout the day till like 4 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
Like I wouldn't even go out. I would call for food delivery. That's like, eating food was the, best moment of the life back then. I was doing that for the entire week. And then the second week, I started to do that again. I forgot it was Monday or Tuesday. And I realized, the workload that I took on, like I might have to do this for, I don't know, a couple more months or something.
That's a lot.
So I started to feel like what did I get myself into? And then I started to have a headache for lack of sleep. So I took a Advil pill. And it's still like very hurt. So I took another and I started to vomit.
Oh no.
And then that's the moment I'm like
that's not healthy.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Like nobody deserved to live a lifestyle. I mean, I don't want to, at this point, I don't want to like blame anybody else. It's, there are a lot of things I could have done to avoid that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the fact is I got into that point, and I feel like if I don't just quit, I'll probably like be depressed or something.
Yeah.
And might even commit suicide. I don't know. It's just like I just don't want to get further down that path.
Yeah.
So that's the moment after I vomit, I called my parents. I'm like, I'm ready to quit. Because back then it's because I was on student visa. So if I were look for a new job, I would need sponsorship, and it would be very hard for me to get a new job. So I feel like for that reason, it wouldn't be very easy for me to get a new job. I should let my parents know and give them a heads up. So I called them. They were very supportive back then, but then a week later, they changed their mind. They were asking me to stay on because I guess they finally realized how hard it might be to get a new job, and they started to get worried.
Yeah.
That was what happened back then.
Did you stay or did you decide to leave?
I decided to leave.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I don't leave, I might not live.
Right. Yeah. And that's such a hard thing. I talk to people all the time. You spend a third of your life working. And if you're in a job that stresses you out like that, it's literally diminishing your life. And so that third of your life will actually reduce the full spectrum of your life by being so stressed out at times. So it really is. It's a scary situation. So I'm glad you decided to quit because it wasn't worth your health. So when you left Deloitte, what happened then? Were you able to find a job faster, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, it turns out it was really, really hard for me to get a new job because back then I was still pretty optimistic, like, with my UW medicine education background plus Deloitte, it would make my resume look really good. I shouldn't have any trouble finding a next role. But the sponsorship is like really killing me. I could have sent like 100 resumes and only maybe 2 of them wants to interview me, and they lead nowhere. So eventually I got a call from like staffing company for contracting job. And it was with JP Morgan, but they were paying lower than like what I would make tutoring back in campus.
Wow.
But I had no choice but to take that on. But luckily from there, I guess I built a good reputation, and they called me back for a next role after the previous contract ended. While I was doing my second contract, I met Greg, and he happens to be a citizen. So I was able to get my green card through the marriage. We actually got married after 6 months of dating.
Wow.
So
that's very cool.
yeah, but back then what I was really thinking was because with my school, you can only be jobless for so long. So I'm like, I'll just try to get as like whatever job I can find, like whether contract or full-time, whatever job I can find, just to stay as long as I can. And I'm like, if I really, have like 3 months not able to find anything, then I would have no choice but to go back to China. Then, I've done whatever I could at that point. So yeah I kind of like just made that plan, like just to stay on as much as I can. If not, going back to China is not, a bad idea either ways. So luckily during that time, I was able to find Greg and get the green card, which after that, every single interview or every single time I'm trying to find a new job, I would get like 2 to 3 offers for me to choose from. So it's like a day and night difference, really.
That's awesome.
That's really wonderful. So in thinking about, you're in these different jobs and trying to figure out yourself and you're staying here in the United States, what was your deciding factor to say, I'm kind of done working for companies and I kind of want to work for myself? What transpired there to make you want to do that?
Yeah, I feel like even like during my first job, I kept feeling like I'm bigger than that and bigger than just a junior following the pre-configured SOP just to do my day-to-day that's designed by somebody else. I wanted to be the one that have a say of, what the day-to-day should be, more efficient, enhancement, that kind of thing. So even back then I was thinking that way, but I was kind of like, don't tell anybody that, otherwise they will feel like you don't like your role, like you're too ambitious, like you want to take their role and see you as a threat or something. Like I'm kind of hiding that. But like even during my first role, I'm thinking of doing something bigger. So what triggered me to jump into hop off the full-time train and jump into the small business entrepreneur train was my last full-time job. I just really didn't like that. Like the culture just wasn't good. They had somebody else to do the project management of the project that I am handling. And that person scheduled meetings on my behalf because she's the one talking to customer and finding places. Yeah, like there's somebody was asking me to remove a doctor appointment on my calendar so they can schedule a meeting down with customer. So that was the trigger. I'm like,
now,
yeah, like I want to see my doctor,
Right.
not the customer. I should have a say,
right.
and nobody should ever even, think of asking me. I think it's something like extremely wrong if you authorize like one employee to ask another employee, like, hey, don't go to your doctor.
Right.
Because we need you to work.
That's a mess because, God knows it's hard to get into doctor's appointments. And so to ask you to do that is unbelievable.
Especially after having all the emotional challenges you're having with your previous jobs where you're worried about, not being healthy. And then to have a doctor's appointment, not be able to go because of that, just kind of, I would reflect on that feeling you had earlier and like, I'm going to the doctor. Like, no way.
Yeah, for sure. So that was the trigger. Like, well, I don't have to be somebody's full-time employee. And I've heard back then that because I'm doing NetSuite in that field. So NetSuite is a pretty good industry. A lot of independent contractor could get pretty successful and make good money there. So that's kind of like the trigger, like, oh, if I can find a contract role to get things going, I can quit. So I start to post my resume on like LinkedIn, Indeed, and eventually found a 3-month contractor role. And the pay makes sense for the 3 months. So I took that on and quit my full-time job.
Wow. And then those 3 months turned into a whole business career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell people a little bit about InSphere and then tell me, how did you come up with the name InSphere Consulting?
I mentioned NetSuite earlier. A lot of people probably have never heard of that. It is a ERP software. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So it is a type of software that there are a lot of products on the market that are ERP. ERP is really like a consolidated database. Without an ERP, you might use QuickBooks for accounting, Monday.com for project management, Clockify for time management, Fishbowl for inventory management. So you would have multiple software all over the world, and you have to maintain different sets of logins, contact different support if anything goes wrong. You would never have a real-time reporting because those software don't talk to each other. But ERP is consolidated them into one, so you only need one login. You can do CRM, accounting, project management, inventory management, anything you can think of in that one set of software. So that's ERP, is the industry we're in. And what we specifically do at InSphere is we would talk to people in companies to make sure they can use an ERP. And we would interview all the employees to define a day-to-day process in the ERP. And then we do the whole, we call it implementation, which involves discovery and design the flow inside of the ERP, come up with SOPs and user training materials, train user, cut over the data, which is also called the data migration. Is before ERP, they use some other software. So we extract the data, we consolidate the data, we put into the ERP so they don't lose the prior data. And then we get them live when they start to actually use the ERP, and we continuously support them for training.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and you do it really well too, by the way. I really love that. Yeah, you're welcome. So now tell me the name, InSphere. How did you come up with that name?
It really means, like, when I started it, I wanted to be like more like global. So sphere is kind of like the global is the earth, and InSphere is kind of like everybody is in this globe, is in the sphere. We want to treat everybody equally because we want it to be treated equally too.
I love that. I think that's amazing. You know, and I think about, you know, you being a small business owner, you being an Asian woman, and you and I just connecting so quickly when we met in our entrepreneurship class. Have you found it to be challenging or difficult at all to get people to work with you in your business? I mean, especially thinking about the day and age we're in right now, when immigration and people come here and look for a better life are being, honestly, rounded up. I mean, literally rounded up. So how are you thinking about your situation back then in 2011 when you came here to what's happening now? Like, do you put any kind of parameters around, like, say, how equal is this treatment now?
I feel like it's never equal back then versus now. But I feel like back then I entered the country as a stranger. So I feel like, I'm entering somebody else's living space, culture. I need to be like ultra respectful, kind of like put myself in the like subordinate kind of place when I communicate with people. But now that I've been in this environment for so long, I have a good idea of the culture or what it should be like. So this is, the time that I start to realize, it's never equal. Remember, I was talking to you about an idea. We can do like a YouTube channel of like you and I randomly go on street and ask people, what do you think we do? And see how they react. Because I feel like probably people would never think of that we are small business owners.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, so if they don't think you look like that, they wouldn't treat you like that. So you would have to fight for more, prove more to convince people that you're worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're worth their trust.
Yeah, I think unfortunately in America, stereotypes, they're just everywhere and you can't escape them. Fortunately or unfortunately, being white, I don't have near the stereotypes that either of you have, but both of you are more intelligent, better educated, and own your own businesses. So, I'm the one who is probably fitting a role that they're probably going to project you in, and you're fitting a role they probably project me in. So it's really cool to see the women of color being successful and intelligent and educated.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, a lot of the small business owners over the last 10 years have been women. Mm-hmm. Like women have, because they've left the workplace saying, I don't like the way I'm treated here. I don't like the way I'm being disrespected. So I can go do my own thing. And that's why it's so important we have the opportunity to do that. Sure. So I think that's really, really great. As you start to think about where you are now, when you think about how you care for yourself, your emotional state, your physical state, all of those things that you kind of disallowed back then, how are you living differently now? How are you living, what I would say, more fully now?
I mean, I guess I'm more fully, but still not like fully. Mm-hmm. Just comparing to back then, I actually went through some therapist who educated me that I should try to put a name on my emotion and constantly be mindful of my emotion, how am I feeling, and put a name on it. So I found that very eye-opening and it's very helpful. So I feel like just even be honest, see myself or see what's going on in myself. Even just that awareness or, people put kind of a knowledge into you, hey, this is something you should be looking for yourself. I think that's definitely very helpful for me growing out of my shell where I'm wired to follow my parents' expectations, school expectations, other people's expectations, start to really think of what I really want, treat myself, because I live the life for myself, not for anybody else.
That's right.
So that's definitely what's very different comparing to me pre-first work kind of a time.
Yeah.
That was very important to me, and the realization, and really just also think about relationship that you build with people.
Yeah.
Because before it's okay, this is my peer, this is my professor, I need to respect. Peer is build a relationship, be friends. It's multi-dimensional than that. So let's start to think about building relationship different ways, or a relationship we can be customers, vendors, we can be friends, we can make podcasts together, we can hang out together, and we can also network together. So think of the different things you can do with other people. It's also something different than what I was thinking back then.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. So as you think about maybe another young little girl in China right now, probably experiencing something similar that you did and thinking about their future in their life, what kind of advice would you give them to believe in themselves?
I would say, never put a limit around you. Think outside of the environment you're in, because when you're at school wants to manage you, so they train you in a way so that you can be well managed. And if you with any company based on their own mission, vision, how they want people to behave, they also train you in a way so that they can easier manage you. So whatever the society or environment you're in, try to make you think or align your goal, anything like that. Just don't believe that is the way it's supposed to be. Recognize it's what's needed for you to be successful in that environment, but it's also your choice if you want to be successful in that environment, if you even want to be in that environment. Think of the way that you can jump out of that environment. There are, if you want to be, building your career as an employee, moving up, do believe there are other corporations or businesses out there that you can be happy working or more successful. Also think of the ways that don't fit yourself into the elite, especially for Asian kids. Don't fit your goal towards the traditional elite way, a good score, good university, well-known company kind of thing. Like, if that's the path you like, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't feel like you're told or forced to be like that only path.
Yeah.
Like, there are successful people went to trade school, doing HVAC. They can be very successful. There are people that are focused on like speaking engagements. They can be very successful. Or writing a book, like collecting your thoughts. There are art people can be very successful. Just like think of other ways that you can also be in, had your passion lined up other ways instead of like elite way.
Yeah.
So,
make your own path. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't block your possibilities.
Exactly. I love that so much. Well, April, this is so fun to talk to you, and I love you so much, and I'm so glad you're here. If people want to get in touch with you and connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so InSphere Consulting is on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. They can email me. We have a website. There's a contact us page. They can fill out the form if they wanted to chat further with me or with InSphere. That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your story and being here. You're so amazing. And I know a lot of people are going to feel very, very inspired by you. So thank you for that so much.
I think it's very brave of you at such a young age to come from China all the way over here and make your dream come true. And it's really been fascinating to watch, and you inspire me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Brian, how can people get in touch with us?
Yeah, you can email us at embwpodcast@gmail.com, and we'd like to hear what you got to say. If you got a guest or if you want to be on the show, just let us know, and we'll see if we can work that in.
That'll be wonderful. Thank you all for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.